You have to know what is right for you. And again, that there is no right or wrong decision. It's based on what's important to you and your values and your life. It's a personal decision, and truly only you can know that for yourself. Hello, I'm Karen Seitz, and this is the Happy Wife School. This podcast is for married women to realize that we are responsible for our happiness, that no one and no thing can make us happy, and that our husbands are not the source of our unhappiness. In each episode, I red pill married women to know that we are the problem in our marriages to good men. For the good men, this podcast will wake you up to the realities of your wife's woman ways, to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to her emasculation in a constructive, caring way. Before we dive into today's episode, a couple reminders. My message is meant for common and usual marital issues. My podcast is not intended for abusive, violent, or compulsive behaviors in a marriage that are threatening or dangerous. Also, please take a second to visit my website and learn more about my courses, which offer solutions for married women and good men. You can find the link in the description below. With all that being said, let's get started. Today, we are talking about, should I get a divorce? A decision model for good men. So yes, I am speaking to the good men today who are struggling to know what the right choice is for them. And I do not pretend to know what is right for anyone. And that's why I want to give you a decision model to be able to make a choice based on what is best for you. The reason I want to talk about this today, I've given men on this channel and women a huge dose of truth about how we as women are with good men in a marriage. With all this information and knowing the reality of how your wife is treating you, how do you navigate the decision to stay or to get a divorce? What does a good man do when he is married to a woman or in a relationship with a woman who is unlikely to change, unwilling to look at herself, and will continue to emasculate and treat you with disrespect and to treat you poorly? Good men struggle to know what to do in this situation and in their marriage with their wife, because good men have values, they have morals, and they have integrity, and they have good intentions. Their word is important to them. Their responsibilities are important to them. So it can be a place that's a really tough place to be, to know what's best for you in your situation. I'll make a small note that as women, we're too selfish, too self-centered, and too entitled to be able to consider morals, to consider values, to consider making a choice in marriage based on integrity, because we don't want to hold ourselves accountable. All we can think of is ourselves, our entitlement to our own happiness, what is going to serve us in a selfish way. We want to do what we want to do. In my experience of working with good men over the years who have been in a situation where their wife is contemplating divorce, or their wife wants a separation, or she has initiated a divorce, it is astonishing the lack of self-awareness we can have as women to be able to put our husbands first, to be able to put our children first, to think of the family and what the consequences are going to be for us leaving, and those consequences meaning on other people, our husband, our children. We don't consider it. I've seen it way, way, way too many times. We either leave because we feel entitled to our happiness and blaming our husbands and the marriage for making us unhappy. We leave to go find that somewhere else, or we found another man to take care of us that we think is providing us and filling that emptiness in us and giving us the love we feel entitled to. But that will end eventually, and we'll find ourselves being unhappy again, because wherever we go, there we are. Or as women, we stay for the security, for the safety, We don't have another man in place to be able to take care of us. And we're too scared to go off on our own and be alone and take that risk. We don't want to be the bad guy. So we'll continue to stay, again, for the safety, for the security, but we will continue to make ourselves miserable. We will make our husbands miserable, because if we are miserable, you're going to be miserable with us. So this is a decision model that, yes, women can use too, but you don't need this decision model in a marriage with a good man, because a good man is exactly that. He loves you. He's thoughtful. He's kind. He wants the marriage to work. He wants you to be happy. So that's why this framework is for men in the context of a marriage to a woman, and not being clear on what direction you need to go. This can be a model for women to use in other decisions in their lives. But again, talking to the men today, what I'm going to teach you is a model to live and can't take responsibility. The most important thing in making a decision on whether it's right for you to stay, whether it's right for you to get a divorce, you must, to be able to grow and learn from your decision, to be grounded in yourself, to be confident and stable in yourself. You must be coming from can't take responsibility, wanting to take responsibility for your choice, not living in camp victim of this has happened to me and this has been done to me. That's a place that will keep you angry, will keep you bitter, keep you running away from women and making women the bad guy and creating hatred for women. That's what camp victim will give you. It's very common and very reasonable, either in watching my channel or other content that exposes the true nature of women and the dynamics we have in relationships with men. It's very normal and common to be angry, to feel jaded, to feel bitter. You do not want to stay there. That's hurting yourself and is not a constructive or productive place to be. So the model I'm teaching gives you a place to move into camp take responsibility, that I've made these choices. These are the consequences in my life. How do I grow and learn from them? How do I use them to become stronger in myself and keep moving forward in my life, whether that is in your marriage or not? What I'm teaching today is a life skill that not only can be used in the context of contemplating divorce, but also other life situations where there are competing priorities. The decision model that I'm teaching you today is using values to guide your choices in life. The decision model is using values to guide your choices in life. So before we can use this in a framework of knowing whether it's right for you to divorce or not, we need to establish what is a value. Values are personal, internal identity that aligns with the truth of who we are. Values are a personal, internal identity that aligns with the truth of who we are. And the purpose of values is to live our lives being true to who we are. The purpose of values is to live our lives being true to who we are. Our values become a framework to be able to make difficult choices in life. One of those being whether to stay in our marriage or not. Here are some examples that many of you good men may have. And I came up with this list with my mentor, and also thinking through the good men that I have worked with, that you might share some of these values. Being a good dad, being a good husband, family, aligning your life with God and God's word, serving your country, being a provider and a hard worker, living your life through Christian values, being a business owner and entrepreneur, being healthy and being in good physical shape, having good mental health and well-being, being a good grandparent, personal development, and service to others. These are some examples of values as a personal and internal identity that aligns with the truth of who you are. The fascinating part about values is no one can tell you what your values are. They are personal to you, and only you can know and establish and be clear on what your values are. I'm very grateful to have been taught this concept, especially as a woman, because as women, we really struggle to make choices, to be able to be clear about our decisions, take responsibility for our choices and decisions and the consequences that come with them. So establishing my values has been very important to me because it helps guide me to make choices when those competing priorities come up in life. My top 3 values for me, number 1, most important to me, is my marriage and being a good wife. My second top priority in my life is my calling from God. And my third top priority and value in life is living and can't take responsibility as a woman, being able to be responsible for myself, to rely on myself, and take accountability for my actions and my choices. Those are my top 3 values that guide my choices in life when I have something difficult come up and I'm not sure which way to go and which choice to make. My mentor's top values, especially as he was a young adult, that guided him through his life. Number 1 was being a good dad. Number 2 was being a good husband. And number 3 was being a business owner. All good men know their values. You may not have slowed down enough to write them down and reflect on them and use them as a framework to make choices in your life, but you know what they are. That's important for you to know. If you feel confused or like, I'm not sure what my values are, you want to trust that they're already in you. You know what they are, but you have to establish them and actually write them down. It's also important with values. You want to know this is your personal truth. It's not based on the indoctrination of society and our culture or even things like religion. You have to be clear in yourself what is your personal truth. Once you establish your values, then you need to put them in a hierarchy of what is most important to you, just as I did. My top priority and value in life is my marriage and being a good wife. So that will always be what I consider first when difficult choices come up in my life of what's best for me, what's being true to who I am. I will always filter that through the value of my marriage and being a good wife and my husband and what supports us in our marriage and our journey together. That's why it's important to know the hierarchy. When you establish your values, if you have not done this for yourself already, you want to have at least 3 and as many as 5. And I don't recommend beyond the 5 because that's where as humans we can get confused and have too many that make it difficult to have a clear-cut roadmap and guide in life to be able to make a choice. Once you write your values down in order of what's most important to you and being true to who you are, now you have a framework of a decision-making model when you have conflicting priorities like contemplating divorce and whether you should stay or whether you should go. Your values will give you that decision model to establish what's going to be your next step as you begin and have been waking up to the reality of what's going on in your marriage. When you are contemplating divorce, you are using your values to determine whether you stay or leave. And that's why it's really important to know there is no right or wrong. It's based on what's most important to you in life, in your life. That's why, like I said in the beginning, I don't pretend to know for any man what's right for you and say you need to get a divorce or you need to stay. It is very much a personal decision that no one can make for you. It's what you have to make for yourself. So I want to give you 3 important considerations to use your values in the context of your marriage and whether you stay or leave. That once you establish your values, which will guide you to know what direction is right for you, these are 3 considerations You have to contemplate and understand in deciding whether to get a divorce or not. The first consideration, I say this often, it's so important. The first consideration is you did not get the wrong wife. You married a woman. You did not get the wrong wife. You married a woman. What I teach in my perspective and my experience, not just with myself as a woman, but working with hundreds of women, talking with thousands of women, is that as women, we have the dynamics that I talk about on my channel, our selfishness, our controlling ways, our manipulative ways, emasculation, refusing to take responsibility and accountability. I call these our woman ways. We all have them on a spectrum. And those of you that are considering divorce often have women on the higher spectrum of the things that I talk about on my channel, where it's very difficult for you to stay and understand how to navigate that situation. But you want to know you did not marry the wrong woman. You married a woman, and we all have these issues and challenges on a spectrum. So everything that you are experiencing in your marriage doesn't mean that it's right or it's okay, but it is common and normal. And you can know that by reading through the comments to see the men being vulnerable and sharing their experience and relating so much to what I talk about on my channel. You can begin to understand, and many of you share this with me, of, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy, that there are a lot of other men out there experiencing the same things that I am experiencing. There's no woman out there that you could have married that would have changed your experience. That's part of living in Can't Take Responsibility. In Can't Victim, we often think there's someone else out there or another woman I could have married that this would have ended up differently. And you want to know, living in Can't Take Responsibility, that no, we all have these issues on a spectrum. So do not think that getting a divorce and meeting another woman will solve these issues. If you choose to get a divorce because that's what aligns with your values, you want to do it from a place of being conscious, taking responsibility for your choice, and learning and growing from that and the challenges that are going to come up in that decision. You don't want to be a victim and run away from women or run away from relationships with women, being angry at women. You want to use your experience in your marriage or relationships with women as an opportunity to grow and learn, to become strong and confident in yourself and wise, so that you're in control of your experience and no longer giving your power away to other women to have the control over your experience. I often see comments of other women in other countries aren't like this, or this is a problem with modern women. But this is how women have been for thousands of years all over the world. I like to use the quote from Solomon that I would rather sleep on the pitch of a roof than in a room with a quarreling wife. That was written BC. And so this has been going on thousands and thousands of years. There was also, at one point, I was reading a book on ancient history, and there was a tale of an emperor, and the text was sharing a story of women in their woman ways and the drama and the chaos that they create. And it was an ancient history text. So this has been going on for a very, very, very long time. Yes, might we see an influx of our woman ways because of modern day feminism? Yes, but we can't be a victim to that and blame those things. It's just taking responsibility that this is the woman you married. And how do I grow and learn from this so that you don't think you got the wrong wife and you can focus on your values, again, so you do not become a victim. The second consideration in deciding whether it is right for you to get a divorce or not based on your personal values is that you must follow what is right for you and do not listen to other people's opinions and advice. Follow what is right for you and do not listen to other people's opinions and advice. This is why I'm not giving examples of whether you should stay or divorce, but hoping you will use a framework of establishing and knowing your values and filter your choice through your values of what is most important to you in your life so that you know what is right for you. Then you will feel confident and strong in your choice and not mired in confusion based on the different advice that is out there or the different opinions of your friends or different family members. Again, that just gets us confused and pulls us away from our values and what is right for us. So don't listen to your friends. Don't listen to your family. Do not listen to social media and different content out there telling you what you should or should not do. You have to know what is right for you. And again, that there is no right or wrong decision. It's based on what's important to you and your values and your life. It's a personal decision. And truly only you can know that for yourself. The third consideration, you must take responsibility for whatever decision you make. So I've been threading this along the whole time, but you must take responsibility for whatever decision you make, that you are making the choice for you and that it did not happen to you. If you believe it's happened to you, you will be a victim. That's just our human nature, whether we are a woman, whether we are a man. When we believe our life's experience is happening to us, then we live in camp victim. I don't want good men to be trapped in camp victim, thinking that things are stacked against you. I teach what I teach in exposing us as women in our women ways. One, to help the women out there to wake up who are ready for my message and want my message, but also for good men to be in the reality of what's happening so that you can learn to stop unknowingly giving your power away, to be able to rebuild your strength and confidence so that your wife no longer can emasculate you. Because when you are living in the reality and you take your power back and you have your strength and confidence within yourself, your wife can no longer emasculate you. No matter her behaviors, no matter how she's treating you, if you are solid and grounded in yourself, you see the reality of what is happening. That's how you can navigate from a place of taking responsibility and not being a victim. And my message is not to make men victims of this is happening to you. It's to waken you up to the reality of what is happening so that you can have a path forward and no longer be either brainwashed or feeling powerless that things can be any different. It's not to paint you as a victim. Many men talk about the unfair laws against men in divorce. Factually, they are what they are. And fortunately, we have wonderful people out there whose mission is to fight to have those laws changed. But when we live and can't take responsibility, we can't wait for laws to change or wait for things externally of us to change and shift. That's where we give our power away and we live as victims. So you have to understand, and many of you do, but you have to understand the laws are factually what they are. It's the same with taxes. Are all the tax laws fair? No, but factually they are what they are, and we do what we have to do to be good citizens and take responsibility and accept the reality of life and what is in place, not being victims waiting for those laws or waiting for things to change externally of us. We have to realize that we have the power within us to navigate in life from a place of accepting reality and not giving our power away to it, and accepting the consequences of our choices, accepting the reality of life, and growing and learning within that to be the best that we can be in the circumstances that we live in the reality of life. We all take risks in life, and in every choice, inherent in that is risk. When we make the choice to get married, there is risk in that choice. So we have to grow and learn from that risk and not be a victim to it, blaming women, blaming the court system, blaming feminism, blaming child support laws. We have to accept this is life. So who do I want to be in it? Do I want to give my power away to it and be angry and feel trapped and feel powerless? Or do I want to look back at my choices and decisions, take responsibility that I am where I am because of my choices and decisions, and then grow and learn from it? It's the same thing if we decide to go in business. I haven't looked in a while, but I think I've seen a statistic that 90% of businesses fail, which means if you take the risk to start a business and be an entrepreneur, there's only a 10% chance that that business is going to succeed and do well. And so we have to take responsibility for that choice and the risk inherent in that. Or if you decide that serving your country is a value and you decide to join the military, you take the risk to be deployed to war and deployed to situations where your life is at risk. Every choice in life, whether it's getting married, whether it's starting a business, whether it's having children, whether it's serving your country, there is risk and there are unfair consequences and laws in place that are not just or fair and can't take responsibility. We embrace the risks in life to grow and learn. So if you're considering divorce or you understand what's happening in your marriage and you're choosing to stay, again, you must take responsibility for whatever decision you make so that you know you're making the choice and that it didn't happen to you. And the purpose of that, again, is to free yourself and to be able to grow and learn from it and not be in an internal prison of anger, of resentment, of feeling that you have no other choice in life. So the 3 considerations, again, that you must take into account after you establish and know your values in life as a decision-making model. Number 1, you didn't get the wrong wife. You married a woman. We all have these behaviors on a spectrum. Number 2, you have to follow what is right for you based upon your values and do not listen to other people's opinions. Number 3, you must take responsibility for whatever decision you make so you can live and can't take responsibility and know that you made the choice and that it did not happen to you. What I want to end with today is that regardless of if you decide to stay or leave, it is imperative for you as a good man to rebuild yourself. You must rebuild your strength and confidence and learn to take your power back by embracing your wife as your greatest teacher, to see the weakness within you. Again, not saying that it is right or okay. It is not, but it's the reality. You have to look at what is the weakness in me that has allowed my wife to emasculate me and make me weak and feel wrong and bad within myself, so that you can identify that and rebuild yourself to overcome that weakness. And as you do, the emasculation no longer works, that it bounces off and it no longer becomes personal to you. It's just a reflection of your wife and how she feels about herself that she then projects onto you. When you are able to do that, you will find a strength and a confidence in you that far exceeds any other strength and confidence you could get anywhere else in life. And the reason I say that, I like a quote from Dr. Laura's book, The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands, that a man would rather be a prisoner of war than to face the scorn of a woman. I'm paraphrasing, but that is about the quote. So it shows us that what a man endures in a relationship with a woman and the power that we can have in our scorn, in our wrath, gives men an incredible ability to overcome what she is able to do to find a strength and confidence in yourself that you might not find anywhere else in any other arena of life. So it's really, really important, whether you are staying, whether you are leaving and getting a divorce, you still must work on rebuilding your strength and confidence and learning how to navigate a relationship with a woman so that you are no longer emasculated And again, so you're not running away and not being a victim or angry and jaded toward women, but using them as one of your greatest teachers to grow and learn in your life. And from that place, you can make a decision of, one, do I want to be in my marriage or not? And if you decide to leave, you can make a conscious decision from Camp Take Responsibility whether a relationship with a woman or a marriage is of value to you in your life or not, and whether or not you want to pursue relationships with women or not. And either choice is perfectly fine, because when we're taking responsibility and understanding our experience and not running away, then we can decide what's important to us in our life and live from that place and live from our values. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. If you haven't, go check me out on YouTube, Rumble, and X. You can find the links in the description below to connect with me there. For those women listening who know you are the problem and want a path forward to take responsibility and change your own inner turmoil and unhappiness, I have a course for women called the Happiness Program, which is the solution to the unhealthy relationship you have with yourself and the issues and challenges you have in your life and your marriage. You can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. And for the good men listening who want a solution to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to your wife, I have a course for you too called the Marriage Rescue Course for Good Men Only that teaches you how to rebuild your strength and confidence as a good man so that you can navigate the relationship with your wife in a healthy, constructive way. Again, you can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. Thank you again so much for listening, and I look forward to talking with you soon.